Our second artifact showcases our use of Keynote. Fifth grade students collaboratively researched a student selected environment to identify its species, which they then organized into a comprehensive food web. Students expanded on this research to write and produce a news report from an animal's perspective, detailing the interrelationships within their food web, the flow of energy, and the environment's abiotic features. These reports were brought to life using Keynote and screen recording, often incorporating recycled props and green screen backgrounds for enhanced storytelling. Here's an example of these news reports.
One day I woke up because the spider monkeys won't stop making noise. Anyway, now that I'm awake, I've fixed my beautiful feathers. Then I went to go to the Very Berry breakfast buffet to get my breakfast, but there were no raspberries. The lanternflies were taking over the bush. There were dead shrews everywhere. Something is going on. If I can't eat my food, I will die. If lanternflies take over, the entire jungle could die. I decided to go back home, but lanternflies were all over my home. I have no home, no food. Now I'm scared but mad. Why are the lanternflies taking over the jungle? So I had to move to the monkey tree. Hopefully they don't mind. Now me and the monkeys are in danger because sooner or later those jaguars, anaconda, piranhas, and cavemen are going to get hungry. I don't think we're going to survive.
I went to go get breakfast and I saw all the shrews were dead, probably from a sickness. The lanternflies were destroying the jungle. I saw a spider monkey and I saw the banana trees were all dead. The spider monkey was probably starving, but I ate it and it wasn't a lot of food. I was so hungry, but there wasn't a lot of monkeys. The piranhas were fine, but the parrots had no trees, so they were vulnerable. So the jaguars, anacondas, and caimans had a lot of parrots to eat. They ate all the food, so they started to eat each other, and the jaguars were the last ones alive.
I woke up with my belly rumbling, so I got myself out of bed and went to the local banana tree. On the way there, I realized that there were many dead trees on the ground. I thought it must have been a disease, so I just kept going on my way. It seemed like my head was glued to the ground because I couldn't stop looking at the dead trees. When I finally got there, I looked up and gasped. The banana tree was covered in lanternflies. Shocked, I went to the raspberry bush because I was still very hungry. To my surprise, it looked like all the ferns were eaten up too. Now I was in a bad mood. I needed those raspberries. But no, the bush was covered in lanternflies too. Now I have nothing to eat. So I just went home. But instead of a cozy, nice home, all of the parrots were squished in it. I told them to come with me so we could ask the jaguar and caimans to help. But when we got there, they also didn't have any food or shelter. Now we're all in trouble.
One day, I woke up so hungry I went to hunt right away. I checked the monkey's banana tree, but I noticed it was covered with lanternflies. The monkeys did not have any banana trees because the trees were almost dead. Then I went to check for shrews to eat, but they had seemed to died out from some sort of disease. I thought all of that was strange, so I went for a drink from the stream and sat on a rock. The raspberry bushes, cacao trees, and the ferns around the stream were all covered with lanternflies. The caiman and the anaconda looked hungry too. There was no food for the predators or the prey. Since the shrews died out, the lanternflies overpopulated and took over all the trees, and the monkeys and parrots had nothing to eat and nowhere to live. If the prey dies out, all the predators, including me, would die out.
I was starving, so I went to grab something to eat. I saw lots of dead shrews on the ground, maybe from a disease. I saw lots of parrots on the ground. All the lanternflies killed the trees. Then I saw the monkey and the banana trees died. Now the monkeys don't have food. Now I don't have any food. The monkeys and parrots have no food, which means they will die, which means me and the jaguar and the caiman will get hungry and eat each other, which means I will die, but the pesky lanternflies population will grow.
Students were given a template in schoolwork to use in Keynote to create a movie of the 8 phases of the moon. Each slide needed to include the correct placement of the moon and a description of what the phase represents.
This is the new moon. You can't see the new moon from Earth because on the other side of the moon the sun is reflecting, which means the other side is fully dark.
This is the waxing crescent. You can't see most of the moon because of where it is placed in its orbit around Earth. This phase of the moon is first quarter. You can see half of the moon from Earth when it's first quarter. This phase of the moon is waxing gibbous. You can see 3/4 of the moon from Earth when it's a waxing gibbous. This phase of the moon is full moon. You can see the whole moon from Earth. That's why it's called full moon. This phase of the moon is the waning gibbous. It is just like the waxing gibbous, just flipped. This is the third quarter. You can see half of the moon from Earth, just like first quarter. This is the waning crescent, and it's just like the waxing crescent, just flipped, like all of the other phases of the moon on this side orbiting the Earth. It also takes 29.5 days for the moon to orbit the whole Earth.
This is phase 1, the new moon. As you can see, you cannot see the new moon anywhere. This is because from the planet Earth, we are not able to see the new moon because the sun does not show off any light to our side of the moon. This is phase 2, the waxing crescent. As you can see, you can start to see a little bit of the moon. You can see this because the sun gives off more light because the moon has changed positions. So now the light from the sun will give off to the moon. This is phase 3, the first quarter. As you can see, we can see half of the moon because of the way that the moon is positioned. This is phase 4, the waxing gibbous. Waxing means getting bigger. This is the last phase before the full moon. As you can see, it looks like it is at 75%. This is phase 5, the full moon. As you can see all the moon from the planet Earth. This is phase 6, the waning gibbous. Waning means getting smaller. This is phase 7. The third quarter, also known as the last quarter. This looks a lot like the first quarter, but they're different because you can see the moon from a different side than the first quarter. This is phase 8, the waning crescent. This is the final phase before we go through all the phases. It takes 29.5 days to go through all the phases of the moon.
Students chose a constellation to make a constellation trading card. The template was pushed out through schoolwork and collected through schoolwork as well. They created their constellation using a stylus for the picture of their constellation. They needed to find the following information by researching their constellation: the name of their chosen constellation, where in the sky their constellation can be found, when the best time to view their constellation is, what their constellation resembles and looks like, and what stars make up their constellation. This interdisciplinary project delves into the dynamic nature of global ecosystems and their susceptibility to disruption. The core objective is to investigate the multifaceted impacts of disruptive events, whether intrinsic or extrinsic, on ecological equilibrium and function. Each student chose their own ecosystem and researched the disruption. They then created an animation to answer various questions about the disruptions that are possible to their ecosystems.
Deforestation occurs when too many trees are cut down by humans. Climate change can happen by the ground being lifted by trees falling, increased air pollution because trees produce oxygen, soil erosion because the roots dying can make the ground rot, water cycle disruption because trees hold the water to evaporate. But this disruption can still be avoided. People can just stop cutting down so many trees and just find a substitute for wood.